Very good effort. Great day. Here we go. Next one. And as easy as you like, John Bowe draws alongside. Jamie Whincup says, thank you. I will take that away from you. So Bowe's now up into the top 5.
Keith Weir is engineering these cars now for Brad Jones Racing. And that renews an association that Keith and John Bowe have had in years gone by. They didn't have a fantastic day yesterday. Meanwhile, let's go back to the leaders. And Scaife, as you can see, has just opened up a gap now. He actually doubled it lap to lap. He's gone out to 1.3 seconds now over Ambrose. And then a huge slice of daylight back to Marcus Ambrose. Darryl.
Well, Kim, who's the meteorologist in the team? Because the radar showed initially at the beginning of the race there was some rain coming. Who chose the slicks?
Yeah, I've got 2 wisely old men out there, and I reckon if anybody can do it, they can do it on slicks in the wet. We did this once before when we had Audis. It didn't pay off. I keep an eye on the weather, but everything's going to plan at the moment. When they put out the rule that you couldn't come into the pits and change tyres, we took a bit of a gamble. Looks like he's just about to mow Russell down. Who knows where we're going to finish? We're about 3 seconds lap faster than everybody else at the moment, so that's just the difference between wets and slicks. A little bit more rubber that's not cut out from the wet tyres actually helps.
Well, my calculations, you do the lap time difference and the laps to go, he should be there with a lap or 2 to run.
Let's not preempt anything here. He's got to get past a couple of hard drivers yet. You know, he's struggling behind Russell there. He won't give up, but I think we've got more grip. There we go. It's another one down, so we're just going to keep batting away at it and see what we can do. Thanks very much.
Last lap for John Bowe was a 2:05.1, and the previous lap for Mark Scaife and Marcus Ambrose was an 8:09, which I mentioned before. So he certainly has pace on his side at the moment, and he cleaned up Russell Ingall easily under brakes on the braking approach to turn 9, just marching away.
A nice way to give their new sponsor BOC some exposure and some satisfaction. Look at Marcus Ambrose, ran a little wide there, and Mark Scaife has a comfortable buffer to the tune of about 1.5 seconds over Ambrose. That may have grown in the last little while as well. So Scaife doing it comfortably, Ambrose too, but John Bowe is coming and coming fast. These two are the only two in the field after being as low as 26th that John Bowe hasn't passed.
You can see that John's speed since lap 10 has really started to crack. Nearly 3-4 seconds a lap gained, 3 consecutive laps, 10, 11 and 12. And well, it's still an interesting one. There's about a 15 odd second gap between John and the leaders, and but he's making time at a rate of about between 3 and 4 seconds a lap.
Now Brad Jones, it's his turn in the sister car, the 21 BOC Falcon. He's got by Whincup, and now he's trying to work on Bright. He's got the outside option through there. He'll need to switch back. Runs alongside Jason Bright, and that sets him up for the inside run down into 3.
Pretty easy there. He just rounded him up on the outside of 2. Look at the sandblasting effect on the front of the car. When the cars have got wets on them, they pick up an enormous amount of grit, dirt and gravel on the road and throw it at the car behind. When you bring your car back from a race meeting after it's been wet, you stand back and look at it at the workshop on the Monday, you'd swear that somebody's taken to it with a sandblaster. It just destroys the paintwork at the front of the car. Willing aggravation here.
Mark Winterbottom having a scrap with Steve Johnson. Meanwhile, Brad Jones has cleared that group. Good work from him. 12 seconds the margin from John Bowe up to Mark Scaife when they last came across the start-finish line. And as you can see, there's 5 laps to go. We're on lap 14 of 19. Is there enough time? We'll find out. We had a first-time winner at the AGP yesterday here at Albert Park in Todd Kelly. First-time winner at this circuit, I should say. We may end up with our second because John Bowe has never won on this racetrack.
I'm still impressed with the lap speed of the 2 leading guys, given that they're just trying to nurse their cars around, drive quickly and keep the wets alive. Actually speaks volumes for the tyre as well, because not a nice thing to do to a wet tyre, drive around on a dry, mostly dry piece of road at the sort of speed these guys are negotiating at the moment. This is a critical lap. They will now literally be the walking wounded as they cross the line. This time these wets have been punished on a mostly dry track through turn 16. We'll see what Ambrose and Scaife do this time.
Have a drink. 5 laps to go.
Oh, he won't like when he 5 laps, the message from Rob. Yeah, 10-2 for Scaife and 9-1 for Ambrose. And there's Bow menacing in the background on the march. And a 2:04.6 for John Bow, fastest lap of the race. So a bit over 5 seconds a lap quicker, so mathematically it can be done.
He's virtually halved that lead margin in one single lap. Bow is flying, so too is Brad Jones. Ingall's the next one on Jones's list. It's a tough day for his nephew Andrew Jones and the Repco Valvoline Commodore involved in that incident with the 2 PWR Commodores. Good day for Team Better Electrical. They've been solid after Lowndes made up a huge amount of ground, and Brad Jones has already disposed of Russell Ingall. And that's got to be frustrating, mate, doesn't it? When you're on wets, you know the other guy's on dries, and see you later, Charlie.
I must say, well, I opened my mouth at the start of the race. I was looking at the radar sweep at the end of the commentary box, and the weather all around the Melbourne district looked absolutely appalling on the radar, and I thought, shit, Bradley, that's a seriously brave move to do that, but it's worked out for them. So sometimes you've got to be brave if you want to pull moves in this business, and they had nothing to lose. Their cars were not overly quick yesterday, so for them it's a reasonably easy gamble. If they went backwards from there, no big deal. It's a non-championship round, but if you go forwards as they've done, well, it looks good then for Team BOC.
Yeah, fabulous effort. Fabulous effort. So the revised order is Scaife, Ambrose, Bow, Ingall, Brad Jones, Jason Bright, Jamie Whincup, Will Davison, Craig Lowndes and Steve Ellery. That's how the top 10 sits at the moment. Barguana's just outside. Rick Kelly's maintained his position, and Ambrose has reduced that margin. He's right there with Mark Scaife now. After being back as far as 1.5 seconds or more, it's less than a second now. There's a car length in it between Scaife and Ambrose.
Mark's seen the better of his tyres, and somehow Marcus has been able to keep his alive. Look at John Bow. He's just going to storm all over them. By the time they get to turn 3, Bow will be there. He'll pass Ambrose under brakes into turn 1, and he'll be right with Scaife by the time they get down to turn 3. Yeah, let him go. Smart move.
And there's no fight about this. There is no battle. Bow's going to get him on the inside, or is he? No, Marcus Ambrose does as instructed and lets him go.
You can see the difference in the body language of the two cars. John's car's tracking straight. He can brake aggressively. Marcus's car was lurching on exit. It was sliding. The tyres are shot. So he's right in touch with Mark Scaife under brakes into turn 3. That's just broken the gap a little bit between Scaife and Ambrose now. So that's a bit of welcome relief for Scaife. But he's in trouble as well because John Bow is going to lead this race.
Scaife has a rearview mirror full of the BOC Falcon. John Bow from 26th when it was wet, slick and slippery to the lead of this race as he draws alongside Mark Scaife, tucks back in behind, couldn't quite execute the pass there.
He needs to be patient because he's got tons of time on his side, and he'll easily get Mark. Just needs to wait for a sensible gap to open up, and it'll probably happen here into turn 9. It does. Mark doesn't make any argument about it. John's down the inside comfortably and cleanly. Game over.
New race leader for the first time since the end of the first lap when Todd Kelly spun out and collided with the wall, and Mark Scaife inherited the lead. Scaife did very well to handle the pressure put on him by Ambrose, but now new race leader, and nobody's going to catch this guy. The last few laps, John Bow, and the first time we see the cars in a race, the second time I should say, for this weekend in the new livery, Team BOC. David McCow and the gang at BOC will be delighted with this effort. And here's the overtaking move. Bow on Marcus Ambrose. Down into the first turn. Marcus said, there you go, mate. I can't go with you.
And Paul Forgy was on the radio saying, let him go, he's on slicks, because you don't always know what everybody else is up to. Your immediate programming in your mind is make your own way round, mate. But once he heard that he was on slicks, and you can see the obvious speed difference, Marcus did the smart thing and just let him slide. Here they come again. We'll see what sort of lap speed John's done this time. Robbie Starr telling Mark to suck in a bit of oxygen there, and because of the traffic, 2:07.1 for Bow on that lap, so not a particularly fast lap. There still must be enough wet around to be pretty seriously polluting the lap speed. Bradley did a 2:04.5. They're still the best part of 5 or 6 seconds away from peak speed yesterday. So the next question mark in all this is whether or not Brad Jones in the second of the BOC Gases cars can make ground on these two characters here, Mark Scaife and Marcus Ambrose.
Last time round, Brad did a 2:04.52. Scaife's last lap at 2:10. Ambrose's last lap at 2:10. So you would put your money on Brad Jones at this point. he should have enough time to complete the Team BOC 1-2. That'll make the man from Albury happy.
Squeaky little voice will be going flat out after this one. He's been a busy lad in the last 2 or 3 months. You can always tell when Brad's got a lot of work on because he leaves his mobile phone alone. You don't hear from him for a few weeks, which is a sign that he's busy. It doesn't happen that often, I might mention, but he has been flat out in the off-season, bolting together new deals and making sure that this team stays alive. He puts his heart and soul into his motor racing. He and John Bow and his brother Kim Jones, they live for this business. They're very much 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week men, hardcore racers, and all good luck to them. This little battle here is interesting, though. This is far from resolved, and those that have managed to look after their tyres are being rewarded. Will Davison being passed by Craig Lowndes there. Jason Bright heads the group. Very encouraging start to the weekend, qualifying so well, just a whisker outside pole position after the qualifying session. The rear tyres went away. He whacked some tyres late in the race yesterday as well, which just bent the steering arm a little and the handling went off in the car. But nonetheless, a very impressive debut. And here we go. It's on between Brad and Marcus Ambrose at turn 16. You don't want to be on the outside there, BJ.
And now switches to the inside, and look at the difference in traction and grip. And Brad Jones draws alongside Marcus Ambrose. 2 to go. That's what he's got left to catch Mark Scaife. Down into turn 1. The Falcons go side by side, and Brad Jones slips through on the inside. So one more car to get to complete the Team BOC 1-2. And a tremendous performance from John Bow. Brad Jones on the dry tyres. And it has been many, many years since John Bow stood on the top step of the podium. To our records, Winton 1998. Does that sound fair to you?
I knew somebody was going to ask that question at some point. Truthfully, I don't know. But it's a great performance from these fellas, and a little bit of sugar in an otherwise tough business, and a very, very impressive drive from both Mark Scaife and Marcus Ambrose to deal with these conditions on those tyres and still have their cars up the sharp end as Brad now goes through at turn 6, and Mark makes plenty of room for him. The next unresolved question is whether Mark Scaife can remain in third position with Marcus Ambrose with what seems to be just a little bit more car speed at this late stage of the race. Look at Marcus sliding through turn 8 then and closing back up onto the back of Mark Scaife. So those guys still to resolve that position and trying to get the most out of those tyres in the remaining stages.
Lowndes has been relentless in his pursuit toward the front as he's elevated himself to 7th in the 888 Better Electrical machine. He's got ahead of Jamie Whincup, and Whincup splits the 2 888 machines. Ellery is now back in 9th. Will Davison holds the last spot in the top 10.
It's amazing, you know, Marcus is a little bit quicker than Mark, and he's just able to continue to slide his car a little bit more. You would think that when he slides the car that would hurt the wets more, but he's still getting away with it at the moment, but not much to go.
If you've just tuned in and you missed yesterday's broadcast, perhaps even missed earlier in our telecast, it has been announced that, as we reported yesterday, that Marcus Ambrose is heading to the United States next year in a NASCAR development program. There's been nothing confirmed yet as far as what it may be and where he will end up, but obviously the ultimate goal is for the NASCAR Nextel Cup Championship. That will be the end result. It'll be a long, hard road, but for an Aussie to break into that scene over there is fantastic.
205.3, 206.2 for Bow and Jones on that lap, so not particularly good peak speed. The fastest lap of the race, I think, has been a 4.5.206 from Brad Jones on lap 16. Yeah, 204.5206. Be hard to get that out of my head.
Good scrap going up there, coming onto the main straight. Bright's under a lot of pressure, increasing pressure from Jamie Whincup in the Dodo Commodore. And look at this, Ellery fighting off Will Davison. They're scrapping over the last spot in the top 10. Rick Kelly's in the background as well. Ellery's on the inside of Davison. And this has been an impressive run. Good stuff. And all of the trouble surrounding team dynamic, this is a very heartening performance from Will Davison.
Need to mention that they have let go the action that they were going to take in the appeal court with the FIA and decided to cop their penalty, pay their fine, take their penalty and get on with racing in 2005, which I would have thought was probably a fairly smart thing to do.
So we're on our way home. Final lap here at the Qantas V8 Supercar second race, and it belongs to that man there, the Tasmanian John Bow. as he comes up to lap Paul Radicic, who was involved in some incidents earlier. After Paul himself had a great run yesterday, a top 10 result. It all went south in this one. This is the longest race of the weekend, incidentally. Tomorrow on F1 day, on Grand Prix day, we have just a 10-lapper for the Qantas V8 Supercars. But John Bow's almost there. It'll bring a smile to his face and joy to this face. Brad Jones.
It's great to see, isn't it? A really fantastic reward for these guys. And they've picked it right today. John Bow and Brad Jones in the BOC Gases Falcons come to the line. An outstanding drive. And well done.
It's a 1-2 for Team BOC. John Bow wins in Melbourne to the delight of their team. Fabulous performance. Brad Jones in for second, and the scrap's on for third at the top of the straight. Scaife's not there yet, but he will hold Marcus Ambrose at bay, and the Holden Racing Team Commodore comes home in third, ahead of the Pertec Falcon.
Good effort, Marcus. I'm sure it's pretty trying conditions out there. You won't be coming back round to the pits this time. Just pull into our pit bay out the back there.
Some encouragement from the Stone Brothers Racing organisation, but it's all about this mob. Brad Jones Racing, Team BOC, a 1-2, and the first win for John Bow since 1998 when he was with the Dick Johnson Racing organisation. It's been a long, long time. That'll put a spring in his step tonight.
Absolutely.
And it's some terrific racing through the field, down through the order in the top 10. Rick Kelly to come from the back of the pack into the top 10. Nice work for the young man from Mildura. We take a look at the final placings. Lowndes to come from well down the order in the high 20s to 6th. Top stuff. Jason Bright will start tomorrow in 7th. And Longhurst did a nice job as well to finish 16th after he started well down the order as well. Back with more after this. Stick around. The action continues.